Hello and welcome to Dress the Daughters. My name's Joy Isaacs and I'll be hosting today's talk. Today we are meeting to celebrate International Women's Day. Woohoo! So today we have a very special guest who I'm sure you all know, but for the benefit of those who perhaps live abroad or just don't know and not into politics, I'm going to introduce to you Bel Rivera-Addy, who is a British Labour Party politician who served as a Member of Parliament for Streatham since the 2019 general election. So welcome, Bel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Obviously, it's fantastic. I was so proud to be elected. So I was elected in December. In January, we came back into Parliament properly. There was lots going on with the beginning of Brexit. There was then a terrorist attack in my constituency. And then the following month, coronavirus is well and truly in the UK, and we had to start shutting everything down. I had coronavirus myself in March, which was really, really horrible. And
I'm so sorry.
It's been one very, very tough past year.
Sounds like lots of positives and a few negatives there, with health challenges, political challenges, national security challenges, and all sorts happening there. How do you cope with the not chaos, all the mix, and then trying to manage your personal life and being a woman in all this? How do you manage that?
just to by the grace of God, quite literally. People have really been through it this past year. But you've also seen the very best of people. You've seen people talking to their neighbours in a way you haven't. You always hear that London is a very unfriendly.
I've definitely heard that.
But, it's a shame that it's taken, I suppose, such a terrible circumstance to bring people together, but it's made such a massive difference in terms of how people are relating to each other in the community.
As well, some unintended benefits of COVID-19, seeing people be patient, lining up in the queues, see people be resilient. We've all had to do that outside our local Tesco's, just try and exercise extreme patience. That's definitely brought out some really good character traits. We want to know, who is Bel Rivera-Addy?
I am young-ish black woman from South London, born and raised on Brixton Hill. I'm a Christian. I'm an activist, anti-racist, feminist, trade unionist. I like to joke. There are so many serious things happening in the world, and I believe that we should try and find as much time as possible to find the joy in the world that we can. That's as important as anything. But I also have a very, very strong belief that it's everyone's duty to do what they can to help others.
I think you're absolutely right in terms of what we as women should do in terms of finding the joy. A merry heart, is good medicine. So as a public figure, which you are, and you're an absolute inspiration to many, including myself. So how do you cope with that? How do you stay true to yourself? How do you stay Bel?
By firstly remembering that you're a human being yourself. It's hard because obviously you're under a lot of scrutiny and you feel like you have to be on all the time. But I suppose you've got to find the time to take care of yourself, or you won't be able to, do the work of taking care of others. I think that's really important. It's easily forgotten. I definitely forget it a lot of the time. And I suppose more generally speak about women. Say a woman's work is never done. And women spend so much time giving, I suppose, in terms of their life, and less time on the self-care. So it's an aspiration to be more self-caring.
That just helps you touch base with who you are when sometimes have that me time. And have you ever had an identity crisis where you're a bit like, who am I? Like, what happened just then? Like, maybe you've had an experience, or you've had a rejection, or you've had a bit of failure, or a really bad experience that's just made you feel like confused about who you are, like identity crisis. I know a lot of women experience that, myself included. So just wondering if you've ever experienced that one.
But I suppose it's not a bad thing. It makes you ask questions about yourself, as long as you don't let it overtake overtake you and overwhelm you in a way that kind of makes you either stop or be extremely upset and depressed about your direction in life. It should only kind of be a jolt to remind you either of who you are or reset your course.
So where does that passion for socialism come from?
I think it's a general belief that everyone can do well together. Like it's too often, definitely in well, actually maybe not even in modern, but it's just a long held belief that in order for one person to be doing well, another person has to be not doing well.
Yeah,
I don't believe that at all. There is enough money, there is enough food, there is enough everything for people to live a decent life, and I think it's only fair that they're allowed to.
How does your faith in God link with your values, your behaviors, and ultimately your identity?
Well, I think it's a major part of my identity, really. I was actually quite shocked. I made a point of mentioning it on my leaflets when I was originally standing to be an MP, because obviously they ask you, basically asking you, tell us who you are, and it's a major part of who I am. It's just who I am.
So I've picked out 3 really key characteristics that I think are really important. So integrity, empathy, and courage. And what would you say is important in terms of character development as a woman?
I think it's important to realize when you're wrong. As we get older, definitely, I think you become more set in your ways. It's the same for anybody. You're really set in your ways. You start to think that you're right about everything. you become less flexible. And I think it's important to take stock of new ideas, new ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And the fact that things change and you may need to change along with them. Yeah. So just being able to assess yourself a bit more.
Challenging the status quo takes a lot of courage. It takes courage. And you've demonstrated that courage when you challenged the media with the response to women, is particularly Black women, and the devaluing of Black female MPs. How do you do that? How do you challenge with that courage?
I think at that time I was being confused for lots of people. It does make you feel devalued.
You must have felt so horrible. Like, I'm Belle. Like, it's quite obvious, but yeah, they do that a lot.
Apparently it's not. Somebody must have come back on one of those social media posts and like, this is ridiculous. Of course you can understand why anybody would get these 3 women confused.
What? That's outrageous. Finally, I just want to chat to you about body image. So as women, body image is a big deal. Self-esteem is a big deal. And we've seen that during the pandemic, countless people, particularly young people, have suffered from mental health challenges. And inevitably that would impact on your self-esteem, because you just don't feel good about yourself when you're stuck at home and maybe you're not able to do the things that you would normally do. It affects your mental health, and that in line can affect your self-esteem. So in terms of self-image, have you ever faced any challenges with your self-image, with your self-esteem?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Everybody's got insecurities. Found it very, very difficult. It led to weight gain. And, some people aren't as kind. And sometimes it can be a cultural thing. And as some people know, I'm talking about in terms of the aunties who have always got comments to make about what you look like or what you're wearing. But then I suppose there's also really horrible social media trolls who may say horrible things like, oh, you're fat or you're ugly, and I've had all of that stuff before, and it's not nice. It's not nice to see, especially when you have those insecurities about yourself. It's just overcoming it by, this is my job and I need to do it. And I think even more than that, I should really be on the track of being being kind to yourself, being more accepting. Select committee of Parliament, we held an inquiry on body image, and I'm challenging social media companies and publications about airbrushing and all those filters that make people look slightly different, and give these type of views. And they've been listening and they've been making changes and things such as that. So hopefully we'll see that better reflected in how individuals feel about themselves, particularly young people who are seeing these images online all the time.
In terms of being kinder to ourselves is a really great message that we can definitely take on board and practically apply in our lives to see ourselves better and see ourselves as beautiful, because we are. How you see the celebration of equality?
I mean, I think it's a fantastic thing that we celebrate International Women's Day, and even better that it's extended to a full month in some circles for us to be able to celebrate women and that entire month. There's been so much injustice in terms of how women are treated in society, more generally, how they're treated in the workplace. And, you know, there is so many major gains that we have made, but there's so much more work to do. And there is definitely a concern that the coronavirus pandemic has rolled some of this good work back. But I believe, just like that, the Mary Evans poem about women, that women are absolutely amazing, and that they defy place, time, and circumstance. So, you know, there is an equality, but we shall overcome.
Amen to that. What a way to come out. That's just so amazing. Thank you so much. I feel encouraged, and I hope our viewers also feel encouraged by that a great address and that great send off by MP Bell Rivera-Addy. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really great to hear from you and get to know you a little bit more and celebrate International Women's Day with you. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your celebrations. Thank you.